Good evening. I'm bringing you the latest developments on Big Back News. We begin tonight with breaking news from Canada, where a devastating school shooting has left at least 10 people dead and 25 injured. This marks one of the deadliest school attacks in recent Canadian history. According to reports, an armed individual wearing a dress opened fire at a Canadian school, sending shockwaves through the community and drawing international attention to the tragedy. The attacker has been identified by Canadian authorities as a trans-identifying man. Police are continuing their investigation into the incident, working to determine the motive behind this senseless act of violence. The attack has reignited discussions about school safety and security measures across North America, with officials examining how to better protect students and staff from such horrific events. Our thoughts are with the victims, their families, and the entire community as they begin the painful process of healing from this unthinkable tragedy. Turning to developments here at home, the death toll from New York City's brutal cold snap has risen to 19 after a man was discovered dead under the Manhattan Bridge. City officials confirmed the grim milestone, which underscores the severe impact of extreme winter weather on the city's most vulnerable populations, particularly those experiencing homelessness or living in precarious housing situations. The frigid temperatures have proven deadly for New Yorkers without adequate shelter, despite efforts by city agencies to provide warming centers and emergency outreach services. Officials have been urging residents to seek shelter during these life-threatening weather conditions. The deaths highlight ongoing challenges in providing adequate emergency services and outreach to those living on the streets during extreme weather events. This tragedy serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of homelessness in our city and the urgent need for comprehensive solutions to protect our most vulnerable neighbors during winter emergencies. In other national news, a gun accessory manufacturer has agreed to pay $1.75 million in a settlement with victims of the Buffalo supermarket shooting. This marks a significant legal development in holding companies accountable for products used in mass shootings. The settlement addresses the role of gun accessories in enabling the 2022 tragedy at a Buffalo Tops supermarket that left 10 people dead in what authorities characterized as a racially motivated attack. The funds will be distributed among the victims and their families who suffered losses in one of the deadliest mass shootings in recent New York history. This case represents part of a broader effort by victims, families, and advocates to pursue accountability beyond the shooters themselves, and could set a precedent for future litigation involving gun accessory manufacturers and their liability in mass casualty events. Legal experts note that such settlements may influence how companies market and sell products that can modify firearms. The Federal Aviation Administration has issued a flight ban over El Paso, Texas, following a laser test incident that posed serious risks to aviation safety. The restriction affects air traffic in the area as authorities assess the safety implications of the laser activity. Laser incidents can temporarily blind or distract pilots during critical phases of flight, which is why the FAA takes such incidents so seriously and implements airspace restrictions to protect commercial and private aircraft. The ban remains in effect while officials investigate the laser test and determine when it will be safe to resume normal flight operations over the region. This incident highlights ongoing concerns about unauthorized laser use near airports and flight paths, and the potential dangers these devices pose to aviation safety. In what initially appeared to be a security threat, the U.S. military shot down what was suspected to be a drone near El Paso, Texas, but was later confirmed to be a party balloon. Officials confirmed that the object was engaged and brought down following established protocols for unidentified aerial objects in restricted airspace. The incident highlights the heightened state of alert along the U.S.-Mexico border region and the military's readiness to respond to potential security threats. The event comes amid increased scrutiny of aerial objects over U.S. territory, following several high-profile incidents involving surveillance balloons and unidentified flying objects in recent years. No injuries or property damage were reported as a result of the incident. A tragic accident in Iowa has shocked the collegiate sports world. A bus carrying an Iowa Community College basketball team rolled over, resulting in at least one fatality. Emergency responders rushed to the scene to assist injured passengers and investigate the cause of the rollover. Details about the number of injured and their conditions are still emerging as authorities work to notify families and provide support to those affected. The accident raises questions about transportation safety for student athletes and has prompted an investigation into what caused the bus to overturn. The community college and local officials are working to support the team, families, and everyone impacted by this devastating event. An Ohio State University professor has been placed on leave following an altercation with a journalist. The incident, which was captured on video, has sparked discussions about academic conduct and press freedom. Details of the confrontation show a physical or verbal altercation between the professor and a member of the media, though the full context and circumstances leading to the incident are still being investigated. The university has taken immediate action by placing the faculty member on administrative leave pending review. The case has drawn attention to the relationship between academics and journalists, as well as appropriate professional behavior in public settings. Ohio State University is conducting an internal investigation to determine what disciplinary actions, if any, may be warranted following the completion of their review. In Hollywood news, actress Blake Lively and actor-director Justin Baldoni have met in court to discuss settlement negotiations in their ongoing legal dispute. The meeting represents a potential step toward resolving the conflict outside of a prolonged trial. The legal matter between the two Hollywood figures has attracted significant media attention, though specific details of their dispute have been kept largely confidential. Settlement talks are a common practice in civil litigation, allowing parties to potentially reach an agreement without the time and expense of a full trial. While the outcome of the settlement discussions remains unknown, both parties appearing in court signals a willingness to explore resolution options. The entertainment industry is watching closely as this high-profile case moves through the legal system. The search for missing person Nancy Guthrie has entered its 12th day, with authorities continuing efforts to locate her. The ongoing search has captured national attention as investigators work around the clock to find any leads in the case. Family members and community volunteers have joined law enforcement in the extensive search operation. The disappearance has raised concerns about safety in the area, prompting increased awareness and community involvement in the search efforts. Authorities are asking anyone with information about Guthrie's whereabouts to come forward. Investigators are now focusing attention on the home of Annie Guthrie, Nancy's daughter, as they believe the property may contain important clues or evidence related to the disappearance. Law enforcement officials have indicated that Annie Guthrie's residence could be relevant to the investigation, though specific details about what makes the location significant have not been fully disclosed. The investigation remains active as the community awaits answers. In a heartbreaking story from Florida, a Coast Guard veteran, his wife, and their 2 children were discovered dead inside their Florida home. Local law enforcement responded to the residence and found all 4 family members deceased, though the exact circumstances and cause of death have not been immediately released. The family's deaths have shocked the local community and prompted an active investigation by Florida authorities. The Coast Guard veteran's service background has added an additional layer of concern and attention to the case, with officials working to determine what led to the deaths of all 4 family members. Investigators are examining the scene and gathering evidence to understand the timeline and circumstances of the incident. Autopsies are expected to be conducted to determine the official causes of death. The tragedy has prompted an outpouring of support from neighbors and the veteran community. Now turning to international news. North Korea appears to be preparing for a historic leadership transition. South Korea's intelligence agency has reported that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has chosen his daughter, Kim Joo-ae, as his successor. This marks a significant development in the secretive nation's leadership succession planning and breaks with the country's patriarchal tradition. Kim Ju-ae, believed to be around 11 or 12 years old, has been making increasingly prominent public appearances alongside her father at major state events, including military parades and missile launches. Her elevated status in state media coverage has fueled speculation about her future role in the regime. This announcement by Seoul's intelligence service provides rare insight into the inner workings of North Korea's leadership. The designation of a female heir would be unprecedented in North Korean history and could have significant implications for the country's political future and regional dynamics. Bangladesh has concluded voting in its first election since mass protests led by Generation Z students forced former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina from power. The historic vote represents a pivotal moment for the South Asian nation as it attempts to chart a new democratic course following months of political turmoil. The protests that led to Hasina's ouster were driven by young people demanding political reform and greater democratic freedoms. The movement gained momentum rapidly, ultimately forcing the long-serving leader to step down after years of increasingly authoritarian rule. This election is being closely watched by international observers as a test of Bangladesh's democratic institutions and its ability to conduct free and fair elections. The outcome will have significant implications for the country's 170 million people and could reshape regional politics in South Asia. Human rights activists report that at least 7,000 people have died as a result of Iran's violent suppression of protests. The staggering death toll represents one of the most severe government crackdowns on dissent in recent history and has drawn international condemnation. The casualties have accumulated over an extended period of civil unrest in Iran, where citizens have taken to the streets to protest against the government's policies and authoritarian rule. Security forces have responded with lethal force, mass arrests, and systematic repression of demonstrators. The reported death toll highlights the ongoing human rights crisis in Iran and the regime's willingness to use extreme violence against its own population. International observers and human rights organizations continue to call for accountability and an end to the brutal suppression of peaceful protesters. Iran has declared its missile program to be non-negotiable, even as Tehran and Washington explore the possibility of renewed diplomatic talks, representing a key sticking point in potential negotiations. In other international developments, a Russian strike in Ukraine has resulted in the deaths of a father and his 3 children, while leaving their pregnant mother wounded. The attack represents another tragic incident in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict that has now reached day 1,449. The strike highlights the continued targeting of civilian areas in Ukraine, despite international condemnation. The pregnant mother's survival amid the loss of her entire family underscores the devastating human toll of the war on Ukrainian families. This incident is part of the broader pattern of violence in the conflict that continues to claim civilian lives. Cyclone Gazani has struck Madagascar with devastating force, resulting in at least 31 deaths and causing widespread destruction. The storm has been described as monstrous by authorities dealing with the aftermath of one of the most powerful cyclones to hit the island nation in recent times. The cyclone brought intense winds and heavy rainfall that led to flooding, infrastructure damage, and humanitarian crisis across affected regions of Madagascar. Emergency responders are working to reach isolated communities and provide aid to those displaced by the natural disaster. Madagascar, already one of the world's poorest nations, faces significant challenges in recovering from the cyclone's impact. German airline Lufthansa has been forced to cancel nearly 800 flights as both pilots and cabin crew staged a coordinated walkout. The labor action represents a significant disruption to one of Europe's largest airlines and affects thousands of passengers. The strike highlights ongoing labor tensions in the European aviation industry as workers demand better pay and working conditions amid post-pandemic recovery challenges. Turning to financial markets, the United States and Japan are launching a massive $550 billion fund focused on energy and semiconductor investments. This strategic partnership represents a significant commitment to securing critical supply chains and advancing technological capabilities in 2 sectors vital to both nations' economic security. The fund will prioritize investments in chip manufacturing and energy infrastructure, addressing vulnerabilities exposed by recent global supply chain disruptions. This collaboration aims to reduce dependence on other nations for these strategic resources while strengthening the U.S.-Japan economic alliance. This initiative has major implications for U.S. markets, particularly in the technology and energy sectors. SoftBank has returned to profitability, driven largely by increased valuations of its investment in OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. This turnaround marks a significant recovery for the Japanese conglomerate, which reported a $4.2 billion gain from its OpenAI bet. The profit swing demonstrates the impact of the AI boom on investment portfolios and validates SoftBank's early bet on artificial intelligence technologies. This development is relevant to U.S. markets as it reflects the continued strength of American AI companies and their ability to attract and reward international investment. Traditional old economy stocks are experiencing a resurgence as investors pivot away from high-flying technology and AI investments. This shift represents a significant rotation in market sentiment, with investors seeking value in established industrial, manufacturing, and traditional business sectors that have been overshadowed by the tech boom. The renewed interest in old economy stocks is being driven by concerns about AI valuations and a desire for more tangible, profitable businesses with proven track records. This market rotation has important implications for U.S. equity, markets, and portfolio allocation strategies. Mercedes-Benz has reported that tariff costs have reached $1.2 billion, contributing to a dramatic drop in full-year earnings that fell by more than half. This development illustrates the substantial financial impact that trade policies and tariffs are having on major automotive manufacturers operating in the U.S. market. The German automaker's struggles highlight broader challenges facing international car companies as they navigate complex trade relationships and rising protectionist measures. In technology news, Apple's redesigned Siri continues to face technical challenges and performance issues following its major overhaul. The company's planned major AI-powered upgrade has reportedly been delayed once more, with the enhanced version now not expected until late 2026 at the earliest. This represents a significant setback for the tech giant's artificial intelligence ambitions as competitors continue to advance their AI assistants. The delay affects Apple's plans to integrate more advanced AI capabilities into Siri, which has been criticized for lagging behind competitors. An OpenAI researcher has resigned from the company in protest over the introduction of advertisements in ChatGPT, raising concerns about the company's direction. The departure highlights growing internal tensions at OpenAI as it shifts from its original research-focused mission toward more aggressive monetization strategies. The researcher warned that OpenAI risks following a similar trajectory to Facebook, where the pursuit of advertising revenue led to controversial content moderation decisions and user experience degradation. ByteDance has released a new AI video generation model that has quickly gone viral, drawing comparisons to the recent DeepSeek phenomenon. The development represents China's continued push to compete in the global artificial intelligence race. The timing of this release is significant as China seeks to replicate the success and international attention that DeepSeek received, highlighting the intensifying AI competition between China and Western tech companies. Here in New York City, Mayor Mamdani has created a specialized ICE response team in response to threats from President Trump targeting New York City. The team is designed to coordinate the city's response to federal immigration enforcement activities and protect immigrant communities. The formation of this task force comes amid heightened tensions between the city and federal administration over immigration policy and sanctuary city protections. An arrest by an ICE task force at a Manhattan courthouse has intensified the ongoing dispute over New York City's sanctuary laws. The incident raises questions about the boundaries between federal immigration enforcement and local protections for immigrants. Courthouse arrests by immigration authorities are particularly controversial because they can deter immigrants from accessing the justice system. New York City nurses have concluded their strike at Mount Sinai and Montefiore hospitals after reaching agreements, but nurses at New York Presbyterian have overwhelmingly rejected a proposed deal and continue their walkout. The mixed outcomes reflect varying success in contract negotiations across the city's major hospital systems. The rejection represents a significant setback in ongoing negotiations between hospital management and nursing staff, putting pressure on both parties to return to the negotiating table. Mayor Mamdani has informed state lawmakers in Albany that he intends to pursue tax increases even though New York City's budget deficit is smaller than initially projected. The mayor's position maintains his commitment to securing additional revenue despite improved fiscal projections. The announcement signals that the administration remains focused on long-term fiscal sustainability rather than short-term deficit numbers. That's our broadcast for tonight. Thank you for watching Big Back News. Stay informed, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.